Okay. Hello, my name is Alan. My pronouns are he, him. And today I'm facilitating the first of 4 sessions of Against the Sith Conspiracy. This is a kind of reskin stroke hack of my own game, Against the Dark Conspiracy, which I'm running the first session today to celebrate the Open Hearth community's online gaming community Star Wars Day mini-con, which is running this from yesterday through this weekend. If you don't know about Open Hearth, please search Open Hearth Gaming and you'll find us. We are an online gaming community focused largely, but not entirely, on indie and narrative gaming. But, you know, look us up, come join us. We have a Patreon if you want to support us. And yeah, come enjoy gaming with us. And I will. There's a link to that in the video notes, the recording notes for this, assuming that I get it published. So yeah, this is Against the Sith Conspiracy. Now, this is a game, I guess, that is I pitch it as 18 plus Star Wars, because this is a game about a bunch of individuals making a stand against the Sith conspiracy that some within the New Republic. So we are playing at the start of the New Republic, where certain elements of the New Republic believe that the threat of the Sith is not over. Now, that conspiracy is fully revealed in The Rise of Skywalker, etc. But while Rey, Poe, and the rest will end up attacking the roots of the conspiracy in this series, we're about the less well-known efforts in the years before to identify and undermine aspects of that conspiracy, or to raise the threshold so that Leia and the rest know that something is amiss. The Sith themselves may or may not appear on screen. That'll depend on the co-creation we embark upon. But their acolytes, oh, hang on, that might be our remaining player. There we go. Sorry about that. There we go. But you know, we will encounter their acolytes and the people and organizations that are providing resources or cover for them. Now, these player characters are not necessarily nice people. They will have scratched a living during Palpatine's reign, doing dubious and dangerous things to survive. And these PCs, the operators, have, as a result, few remaining ties to family or friends. The ones they do have are all the more important. That's why this team is important to each of them. They have history going back through the rise and rule of the Empire. We will create this game pretty much. In this first session, I'm gonna present a pitch to the players so we can get stuck into play and then see where the story takes us. But this is a game about merciless Sith intent on dominating the galaxy, and about their cruel and venal pawns, and therefore it could get quite dark. You know, certainly a bit of foreboding and conceivably even a bit of horror. But that will depend on where our co-creation takes us. But because these are not very nice people, anti-heroes to all intents and purposes, we are going to make sure we use some safety tools to ensure everyone's comfortable playing. And I have some content warnings here, you know, potentially horror, gore, risk to loved ones. There may well be tension between the player characters, or even intimacy, because some of the ways in which they can relieve stress are not pleasant. So we're going to play with lines and veils. And I've started lines and veils. If the players want to look at that tab, they can see my starting points. If they want to up a veil to a line, that's fine. But do note at the top of that, there's a list of stuff which is quite difficult to remove from the game because of the mechanics. Veils are things that, if we do encounter them, we'll draw a veil and not have them on screen. We're also playing with an open door, so if this turns out not to be the game anyone thought it was, then, you know, no pressure to stay. Go and do something more useful with the rest of your day, or night in one case. And finally, we're playing with the X card. And that is for those things that come up where somebody says, oh, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that. You know, I didn't think of it as a line or veil, but still not comfortable. You can play the X card anytime you like. If something comes up and you don't play it, That doesn't mean you can't play it if that comes up again when you have kind of second thoughts about something. It's fine. And finally, I suppose we'll be using a debrief called Stars and Wishes at the end, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. And last but not least, we'll be using the Open Hearth Community Code of Conduct, which I kind of summarize as nobody's going to be dicks. But I've played with all these players a lot, actually, so I know that's not an issue. So that is the pitch for the game. And now let me ask the players to introduce themselves and maybe just give us a little pen picture of the characters they're playing. We have two returning players whose last operation together was 12 or 18 months ago. So I'm going to start with one of those. Jason, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Kitporin.
Okay, I am Jason. I use he, him pronouns. I've been on the gauntlet, or not the gauntlet now, the Open Hearth for quite a long time, and but I haven't played in a few months, so I'm glad to be back. Kitporin is a towering gray-haired Wookie. At some point in the undefined past, he was enslaved by the Sith. He and his anchor, Malabaka, another Wookiee, were enslaved by the Sith and were witness to some horrendous Sith experiments. At some point, they escaped, and he joined the rebellion, has been trained up as special ops, and he's also very good at research. I think when we played last, we kind of established he's sort of a straight arrow, sort of in opposition to Will's character that we'll meet here in a second. In some ways trying to draw the other characters to the light side rather than the dark. We'll see if that continues.
And the rules have been updated for this hack against Dark Conspiracy to include a dark side track, which I'm experimenting with. So yeah, that's Kitporin. Let's move along. Will, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Vann.
Hi, my name is Will. My pronouns are he, him, as are those of my character Vann. Vann is a force sensitive who was trained by a Dathomerian witch living on an Imperial penal colony where he was stationed. And when the Moff Crotas, sold his people into slavery, he left the planet, taking his teachings of the Force, and became a bounty hunter. And now he knows that Moff Crotas is part of this Sith conspiracy. And when last we saw Vann, he'd retrieved a mythical, like a legendary lightsaber called the Obsidian Burn from a ruin on the below Terrace 4. And I think, Vann's basically, he's not a Jedi, he's not a Sith, he's someone with Force powers who doesn't really know how to use them. And that tends to express itself as fairly explosive bits of rage once he starts to indulge that dark side, because, once you let the hate flow through you, it can be a hell of a motivating factor. So yeah, I think kind of space Punisher, I suppose.
But we'll talk in a bit about that lightsaber. So next, Blake, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Tsenn.
G'day, I'm Blake, he, him. This is Tsenn Repek. Okay, also he, him. He's a comms specialist with languages and surveillance and stuff. Gathered a big chunk of information, didn't really have time to sort it out before people started trying to kill him and blow up his house, and yeah, had to get the hell out of Dodge. So
thank you. And last but not least, there we go, Joe. Say hello and introduce us to Halo.
Hello, I'm Joe, he, him. Halo is I'm going to mispronounce that, Marillion. I'm going to say Marillion, because that's about as close as I'll get. So she is sort of a scoundrel, ne'er-do-well pilot who works for whoever pays, and has done that for some time. I'll be channeling some of the energy of my favorite Star Wars character, which is Dr. Aphra. So look out. And her anchor is a another Merlian named Reinhard, who is a smuggler who had saved her life at some time in the past.
That's great. Let me just go back around then with a couple of additional questions. I am because Kitporin, the reason that you are still in the game, when the Empire fell and the Republic arrived, you could have gone home, but you stayed in the game because it's simple morality for you, and that plays back to the straight arrow, yeah. In contrast to Vann, who got into this because of the loss you described, the loss of your people. I am just curious, in the aftermath, and we might run this as a prologue at the start of this series, a conversation between the pair of you, which maybe contrasts the way that Kit sees the battle that he's still engaged in with maybe the way that Vann does. I'm just giving you heads up for that. I don't do it now, but I think that might be our opening scene. As I think I said, I've left you both with the intel resource that you ended the last series with. But I've also left, I checked the notes, and I assume, Will, that your notes, as always, were impeccably accurate. So your actor, Serge Vinvosh, I think was rescued in the final operation of that series. Does that ring a bell? Yeah.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
So I've unmarked missing, but left target in place for Vinvosh. And in the case of Malabeka, Kit's anchor, she was missing at the end of the last series and is still missing as play will open. Let me go along to Tsenn Repeak. Repeak or Repek?
Probably Repek.
Repek, fine. I will probably default to Tsenn.
It's all good.
Now, you said you were in comms, but I notice you also have something of a force talent. So just tell me about that. How did you become aware that you could cloud things?
I know probably my manager was really anal, and I just had to sort of get rid of inconvenient data to get him to bugger off and let me do my thing.
And when you say your manager, what role did you fulfill during the kind of hegemony of the Empire, the rule of Palpatine?
Probably surveillance of media and comms and stuff of the general public. So I was like the NSA.
So, were you in an arm of the ISB?
Yeah.
Okay. So you played on the other side.
Not necessarily happy or for the Empire or nothing, but a job's a job, and Fine.
So one of those kind of, because clearly they wouldn't in any sense put somebody like you in uniform. That would be entirely against type.
Yeah, I was a contractor.
Contractor, fine.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm still curious. Are you aware that you have a force talent, or are you surprised when people ignore you when you want to be ignored?
No, I've done it a few times. I'm just not super trained in how to control it. I just sort of give it a go.
Fine. And the life that you had, they destroyed it. Blew up my house, hover car, raided my work looking for information I had, slaying 2 co-workers. What would you sacrifice to get your life back? Or what would revenge look like?
Well, I want to find out who ordered it, and either make them grovel or just put a laser through their head, basically. But I'd like to know who it is, because all I saw was the thugs I ran away from.
Fine. I'll come back around with some more questions about some of that for the others, but let me move on to Joe. Joe, say hello. Sorry, you've done the say hello. What I want to do is I want to talk about why you are in the game and who your anchor is. This smuggler, Reinhard, male, yeah, good question. Mirialian. We'll find a way. Saved your life. How? What were the circumstances?
I haven't really thought much about it. Other than, I'm assuming some sort of job they were on went bad, and he could have left her and bailed maybe, but pulled her out. And we can play with that however we want to. So
no, that's fine. That works. And it says, why did you choose to confront the conspiracy? I mean, your background, when it says, what did you do during the war, Mum, is I was difficult to pigeonhole, which is code for you broke the law, you stole, you smuggled, you did those morally dubious things. So why now are you prepared to join a team that believes at least that it's operating at the behest of someone in New Republic intelligence? Why did you join the fight against the conspiracy?
Well, I chose greed. So I think that I think we're right now, it's a decent paycheck that lets her indulge in those things that she wants to indulge in.
Fine. So nothing's changed for you, where the rebellion paid you to do some dubious stuff. And as far as you're concerned, the New Republic's just carried on that habit. And they've been reasonably reliable over time.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. What is it, though, if there was something that you could be tempted to change sides on, what would it be? Is that money? Is it power? Is it, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it would probably be wealth of some sort. Money. But lots of it, right? I mean, it'd have to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm certain that it's not all the coffers in the Coruscant Mint ended up as full as when the Empire fell. There's a lot of stuff in circulation that I think the conspiracy might have access to. Otherwise, how could they stay so secret and rebuild an emperor in a couple of years' time? I mean, they must have resource, mustn't they? And then there's all that stuff about, these rumors about them building some vast fleet. I mean, that's not peanuts. Great, thank you. Let me just go background and check in on Kit. Now, what would you sacrifice to stop them? Has that changed?
Let's see, what did I write down for that part? It looks like I wrote, under duress would choose saving people over completing the mission. I think that's still true. I think people are more important than the mission to him.
Right. Which again might be something that could crop up in that opening conversation. Now, Vann, the question I put to you last time, I think, was, what would it take? What would satisfy you?
Well, I'm imagining that Vann's, people were taken away and enslaved, right? And lost to the winds of the galaxy, right? And it's either he thinks of them as good as dead. What would he do to get them back?
Or to give him closure, then?
Well, I think he currently sees closure as the death of Moff Crotas' revenge, and taking down as much of whatever it was as possible. And he would do anything to get that revenge or get them back if that was on the table. I think other than, leaving somebody else to the same fate as suffered his family. You know, like he wouldn't see somebody else enslaved or let that pass by in the you know, it would be that would be his hard line, basically.
And I suppose I'm curious about whether what he did last time. I'm curious about how he feels about that now, and whether that provided any satisfaction. You know, has there any sense in which that's helped?
I think he feels like he's making some sort of progress. You know, like he found something. He struck back at the Sith conspiracy. I think we killed an operative of the Sith conspiracy, or at least we foiled their plans, right?
I think that she ended up running from you when you threatened
Yeah.
her with the obsidian blade.
But exactly. So, like, you know, he's no longer the victim, right? Like, the Empire made him and his family the victims, the galaxy, and this is all about, you know, taking control of his own life and his own revenge and everything. So, like, that's how he sees progress. I don't think he's not a character that necessarily feels better about things. He's the angsty anti-hero.
Fine. I just want to go back to Tsenn. I think I need to know, in your mind's eye, what would you do if you were confronted by the person who done it, who ordered it?
Well, at the very least threaten them, and depending on their response, hurt them or shoot them. He's very pissed off about it, you know. He wasn't super happy, but they totally trashed his life. He's had to move 4 times since, you know, so.
Right. So is there a sense in which he's still on the run?
Yes.
Or has the fall of the Empire and the rise of the New Republic given him some confidence that you know, whatever arm of the ISB was responsible?
Well, he's still wary, but he's not as content as what he was, because he didn't expect it to happen, and so he knows it can happen again.
Fine. It happened once. Why wouldn't it happen again? Great. Those are great setups. Thank you. Now to our operation. We are going to start play. And there's a tab marked Operation 1. And I've roughed this out in some detail just to get the ball rolling. So, leads. There are whispers that someone in Karania City, Metroplex 13, has a lead on the conspiracy. Our concern, says the shadowy handler that you believe is inside New Republic intelligence, is that the conspiracy knows this and has sent a team to neutralize the source. Your operational objective is find this source and what they know before the conspiracy gets to them. Yeah? In terms of who, what, where, how, all of that, I've answered some of this in advance because the connection is to Metroplex 13. You know, if there's a Karania City tab as well, Metroplex 13, commonly called Block 13, consists of multiple 100-story apartment towers and a broad atrium between them. The towers are connected by several bridges, scaffolds, and skyways that hang above the atrium. This is where the majority of people or the majority of people live here, crammed into huge block towers. Most are disgusting and squalid, with apartments being mainly one-room affairs. Yeah, so it is the slum among slums in Karania City. And I will remind you, Karania City is the center of Zinj's empire. Zinj, a surviving Imperial warlord with a grip on this and a number of neighboring systems. Far enough away from the centers of power, maybe, for the New Republic not yet to have got around to confronting him. So this is Imperial territory as much as it exists. So I've put where residential public housing. Yeah. In terms of the opposition, given that the belief is that the conspiracy is out to get them too, I've defaulted to named mercenaries that we may or may not come across and we may or may not have names for. But these are people not unlike yourselves. operating in the shady grey area, but in this occasion commissioned by the bad guys. And why? What do they seem to be doing or planning? Well, they are hunting for someone or something, just like you are. My question is, who or what? Who or what is the focus of the operation? Is there now there's if you hit the drop down on who or what is the focus of the operation, you will see a range of possibilities. There are some individual someones or kinds of someones, from celebrities to other group leaders or journalists, who knows? It could be anyone. They could be there not just because they live in Block 13. Maybe that's where they're hiding out. Lots of possibilities.
Could it be my anchor?
No.
Okay.
No. Generally speaking, anchors are only encountered in situations of enormous stress and risk. Now, this may turn out to be them, and I might choose, if I take them, to put them in a position like that, but I think not at this point.
Okay.
It could be that this isn't an individual source, but an organizational one. And there are a list of kinds of organizations that might be located there. Or maybe this is just the first stepping stone to that source, and maybe there is some object or item that will provide you with what you need to get to them next. So I'll give you a moment just to look at that. I went left to right on intros. I'm going to go right to left in terms of what you're thinking about this. So I guess I'm starting, Joe, with Halo, or with you actually. I mean, what do you want to put an offer on the table as to who or what this might be?
Yeah, how about some sort of reclusive scientist who was part of maybe had been part of the Empire back in the day.
I'm going to go someone else. And unless, Blake, you have a strong objection, I'm going to write former Imperial scientist.
Well, that sounds good.
Okay. Now I'm just curious. Let me go to Vann and say, just pencil me in a little kind of montage of how you work out who this source is. So how do we know it's a former Imperial scientist?
I think it's that the NRI briefing, our shadowy handler sent over the HoloNet, you know, like a little the Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi style thing, but it's a picture of like various candidates and like artificial, you know, voice modulator going over the top of it, perhaps speaking in like, you know, like a language that we can all understand, but it has to be translated on the bottom of the screen, like in little text, like Jabba the Hutt's text. So, and it's saying, you know, like different probabilities, and when it flashes up this former Imperial scientist, it's like, you know, the highest chance that, given what this source seems to know about the conspiracy, they must be an Imperial scientist, right?
Right. So the whispers of what they know narrow it down to someone with a scientific or technical background, and that's why we end up looking for this.
Yeah. Who was in Karania City and who did, you know, except X Factor, this guy, basically.
Fine. Oh gosh, Blake has gone and now he's come back. I know Blake is working with a planned power outage on this occasion, and so is joining us using a combination of phone and tablet, and there he is in complete darkness in Melbourne, illuminated by the glow of a battery powered tablet. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, Blake. Fingers crossed. We're now going to offer each of you a chance to do a bit of investigation, just to describe a scene which will add something to this picture. Because at the moment, we know that this person was a former Imperial scientist. We know they're somewhere in a cluster of 100-story apartment blocks in which there are probably thousands of people. And that's kind of all we know at this point. And we know that there's a rumor that there's a mercenary team also on their tail. So I guess what I'm interested in is how you are going to flesh out this as we kind of cut to a scene on whichever ship we end up describing, which probably belongs to Halo as our pilot. So let me start with, I got as far as Vann. Let me go to Kit. Kit, just sketch me a setup scene for how you want to flesh out what you know.
I think I can't remember. Is it a preparation scene where you put yourself into the operation instead of investigating? Do I remember that correctly?
You can give up on the briefing. My nervousness at the moment, just in case everybody else is thinking doing the same, is that will put you on the ground floor of one of 700-floor blocks of apartments with no idea where to go. So just be aware of that.
Well, my idea was that
what kind of prep have you got in mind?
Yeah, whatever our opposition is that I've infiltrated in as one of their soldiers, so to speak. Or would that be too much?
First of all, you'd need to know an awful lot more about them.
Okay.
So
right, how about
I tell you what, I'll let you defer.
Okay.
And maybe one of the others can
provide. I
have
a different idea.
Oh, go on.
Let me try this instead. So I have research. So hopefully, maybe we see me pouring through all the records of this what do you call it? The megaplex.
Yeah, metroplex.
The metroplex of all of the new residents and their documentation, trying to identify anybody that's come in new that has sort of curious sort of background information or funding.
Well, let's start with whether you can get anything. So this is roll to investigate. And the link to the dice room is on the safety, the lines and veils tab, I think. And I'll remind you that you always get the grey dice in the middle.
Okay.
If your expertise and research would be valid here, you get the orange dice on the left-hand side, and you always have the option to roll 3 dice by putting the green stress dice in play. Okay. So what are you thinking of rolling?
So I was thinking it would be the gray die, and if that fits my research, then I thought maybe I'd get the orange die.
You will.
And since we're just getting started, I might as well use the stress die.
Early days.
The black die is just the bonus die, just to give something special, right? Okay.
It is.
All right. So I think 3 dice. I think I'm ready. Roll.
Oh, look at that! A 6 on the expertise dice. Brilliant. So this goes really well. I will tell. Well, do you want to tell me, or I'll defer so you can tell me. You're going to get a name, right?
Right.
So I'm just going to make a note under the who what of name. ... Well, I thought I was. There we go. Try that again. ... So you can fill in the name, and then you can ask me 2 questions. And I'll give you the basics. So you've got the name and you know which block it's in. But to be honest, the fact it's in block 5 narrows it down from thousands to 1,000 or so. Yeah. So we've got a name. We know it's in block 5. Do you want to ask me a question that might narrow that down?
Yeah. Would it be too much to ask who, whether it's the cameras or other rooms that have been rented, could that give me a clue of who the opposition is?
Oh, right. Oh gosh. I can't see how your research on new arrivals at block 5 is going to help you get anything on this mercenary team.
Maybe I've connected into the cameras then, and like seeing a pattern of maybe the tattoos or the, I don't know,
I
the
think if you
outfits or
had,
whatever of the
if-
gang that we're against.
if you had surveillance as expertise in play here, but this is drudgery research
Okay.
work. And you spec that pretty tightly for me.
Maybe I see where the money's coming from. Maybe I can see, you know, the account or whatever that's
paying for this
Yeah.
apartment. And where, how does that help? I'm not certain what that gives you as leverage or entry point. Because at the moment you've got
right.
they're in block 5 in one of 1,000 apartments.
Right.
Sorry to keep closing you down, but I
know.
You've gone in
we're
very
trying to,
specifically.
yeah, and we're trying to flesh it out. So this is normal. That's fine.
Do you want me to come back?
Yeah, go ahead. I got two questions. I'll keep it in mind.
2 questions in hand.
But then I also have, if I remember correctly, I get an intel on a 6. Is that right?
You do, and you also get the roll for stress, which might tell you something.
Right.
So mark intel and roll a d6 that likes you, and hope that it comes up less than current stress.
All right, intel, and I'll roll the stress die. And it goes up if you roll above your current stress.
It does.
Is that right?
So
Okay.
2 and upwards.
And it does.
Okay, stress goes up by 1. I will tell you that this is because somebody else is doing the same. You get the sense that somebody else is pulling the same records that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will tell you that it suggests that that person is using illicit means to get into the block 5 computer system.
Okay.
Right? You've been using legitimate routes, slogging through the data, but it looks like they have a slicer on hand.
Okay.
Doing a similar kind of trawl and search as you. Okay?
Okay.
Which is, I think, enough to make you think, right, that's a skill set we need to address. And then you got 2 questions. I'll come back to you. Let me go round to Joe. Joe, how do we see Halo doing some investigation? Set a scene for me that would help flesh out the challenges or the route to your objective here.
Well, what I was thinking, I'll just throw it out there, and we can workshop it as necessary. But given her past, I would imagine that she would be, contacting all the sorts of shady figures that she deals with, looking for any clues as to what's going on with this person, and whether that occurred prior to this in some seedy bar, or if that works, that
sketch me a seedy bar. Who doesn't want a seedy bar in the opening scenes?
Right. Yeah, so I think we see her in some almost sub-level type. It has to be in lower levels, I would assume, and this sort of like dark, maybe like a dark version of the cantina scene in Star Wars, right? And a little less happy-go-lucky, and we see her maybe at the bar, kind of scanning the room, looking for, that sort of classic back to the bar, kind of scanning the room, looking for anyone. And maybe she sees somebody that she's worked with in the past, and kind of approaches and just, sits down at their little table, and engages in some conversation about the good time, the good old days, and what's shaken, and anything going down or whatever. So
I've added Pollux, a human, to the Corania City NPCs. Known to Halo, is as simple as it goes at the moment. And what are you hoping that she's going to have some information on? Is this around your target and their location? Is this about the opposition or something else?
yeah, I think it's about the opposition. I think she feels. I think it seems reasonable that she might, given the friends in low places sort of thing, that she feels that this contact might know who else is in play.
Yeah. And the name that she gives you is someone called Teen Sodok, a Zabrak, smuggler, fence, con woman. She's been putting together a team. You'll get that for nothing, because whatever you roll, you're going to get that. But let's have you roll with larceny, because that's the connection you're exploiting here, isn't it? So grey dice in the middle, orange dice, and the stress dice if you'd like it, to just increase your chance of success. A 5 on the stress dice, so stress automatically goes up. And I think the reason it goes up is what you get for nothing, apart from that, is that this is quite a potent team. And it's a team that has worked together a lot. It looks like Teen has pulled together some contacts and operators that she's worked with before. She knows that there are, for nothing, 2 humans, a Wookie, and a Chiss. Yeah. And she believes that they have vehicle or vehicles. Yeah. So I think that's enough to just nudge stress up at this point in the proceedings. But you can ask me a specific question if you wanted. Oh, you can reserve, and I'll come back round to you.
Yeah, let's hold that for just a second.
See where the rest of the conversation goes.
Yeah.
Okay. One question for you. Let me come next to Tsenn. Blake. So, what's Tsenn interested in knowing before you kind of start kicking in doorways?
So we don't actually know what area the target's in yet, or
you know that they're in block 5, and we know that Kit has 2 questions in hand about the target.
Because I kind of pictured him pretending to do like electrical repairs and actually, hacking phone lines and listening to random conversations and stuff. And also like checking who's using a lot of power in the area to try and narrow down where this target is.
I think if you could certainly do that. Yeah. So you can tap into lines going in and out of block 5, and try to get a handle on anyone linked to the name that I told Jason that Kin could give us. So you can certainly do that. And I think that what you're doing here is playing into your, where's it gone? Your comms, your comms expertise. Yeah. So comms would apply. Grey dice, orange dice, stress dice if you want it.
Okay, so and stress one is the black one?
A stress one's the green one.
Oh, yeah. 3.
A 6, brilliant. Goes really well. So this couldn't go better. Mark intel before I do anything else. But also, it is clear that someone else has been doing the same thing. So it's kind of the same concern that Kit comes up with. There is somebody else, presumably whoever was hacked into the building computer system is also using that for surveillance purposes. So I think that's why you're going to roll for stress right now. Currently, stress is 1, so pick a dice that likes you and hope it rolls 1.
I'll go with green again. Let's have a look. 1.
Will you look at that? It does like you. So stress does not go up. You are cool with the idea that somebody else is monitoring this same block and doing a similar kind of profiling of comms traffic as you're trying to do. But you have 2 questions you can...
Can I use my intel to see, like, try and get a gauge on their style? Like, are they intel, are they Imperial trained?
Why waste intel when you've got 2 questions you could ask me? One of which could be that.
Do they look like the way they did it? They, standard Imperial training.
I'd go further than that, and this would play into why you had a stress response, stress reaction to that. Is your answer to your first question is not only are they using Imperial techniques, it's very clear to you that they're using Imperial technology. And the thing that worries you slightly is that's the kind of technology that you might expect Zinj's own intelligence service to have. So I think the concern at the moment is that, as well as a bunch of mercenaries, there may be parts of Zinj's infrastructure that is helping them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I thought that you'd want to know that. So that's one question. You've got another question to come, or do you want to defer while I go do another cycle round?
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Okay. Let's come last but not least to Vann. Vann, so far we've got lots of kind of slightly sketchy background, but at the moment, as you scan a 100-story building, what are you thinking? What do we see you doing?
We need to narrow it down further in block 5, don't we, really? And Tsenn didn't find out like a specific place using the technology. They found out more kinds of the specific type of technology that was being used, right? Like that kind of thing. So to find where they frequent or who might know them, where are we actually going to find the good doctor in here? I think is how to do that. I mean,
now, I will just say there are 2 questions sitting with Kit, and there is 1 question sitting with Tsenn. You might want to ask them if they want to deploy one of those questions to answer that before you just build up a lot of backlog, which is going to end up.
Well, knowing... then I would bounce back to Jason then to see if he'd like to spend that now, because I think that's a fairly crucial one.
Yeah. Sure. So he's in block 5. Kit, can you narrow that down? Do you want to narrow that down?
Yeah. Anybody have an idea how I do that, or is that something you would provide for us?
Oh, you can just, on the basis of your research, you've got 2 questions in hand. You can just ask me.
Yeah. Where in block 5 is the scientist? And by the way, I named him. It's Dr. Vann. There's a picture in our tab.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So where in block 5
record or something?
Hang on, I got stereo for a minute. Then what was that question?
Could you be checking like payment records and?
Yeah, I mean the research is done. Really, we're down to how do you want to what findings do you want? So what you want to know, Kit, is you want to narrow it down. Block 5, floor 87.
Floor 87. Okay.
So that's you're now down to maybe 100 different apartments, 50 apartments, say.
And I think you want to go back to Will, or should I do my second question? I think I know what I want to do with it.
Well, let's
feel free. It would be good to get your questions out of the way, I think, so that I know.
I think Kit would also want to know how can we evacuate the the innocent, so to speak, before the violence happens? Like, is there like a fire alarm or something, some sort of system to get the people out of here so they're not caught in the crossfire?
I mean, it must be said that the upkeep on these buildings is not great. You know, this is the lowest of the low. So it's not like you're going to be able to just find a fire alarm button to press and that will drive people out of the building. If an alarm goes off in this building, they're more likely to lock the doors on their apartments and stay inside. So
Which might be a good way to keep them safe, just to keep them, you know.
Yeah. I mean, those walls are really solid, so you know, there's no chance of
At
stray
least
fire.
keep them out of the hallways where things are going to go down.
Sure. So is that the question you want to ask me?
Yeah, establish the way we can keep the innocents innocent and safe.
I think if you can get to the floor, if you get access to the floor alarms, then it is possible that you would be in a position to trigger them, and then with any luck in the following wind, that will reduce the number of people wandering around the broad halls of floor 87. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So Halo, you've got a question in hand. Tsenn has got a question in hand. Vann, I'm going to come back to you and say, do you want to set your scene now, or do you want to encourage the others to give you a bit more background?
I'm just thinking that the others have got holds left over still. I'd be happy to listen to what they have, and then I can fill in any gaps. You know, nothing's leaping out to me. Or I might, you know, if we've got enough, I'll take a prep action instead. You know, but it makes more sense to me to finish that bit off.
Now, Tsenn, you have a question in hand, and you're also focused on the building. You've got some info about the team, the opposition, but your setup means you could have more information on the building or the scientists or their location. How do you want? Are you ready to ask your second question?
Yeah. Can we get like a map with like air conditioning ducts or sewer tunnels or whatever? You know,
I think
ultimate way in and out.
I think air conditioning ducts are a better bet. I think in terms of sewer tunnels, it's a long way up. So what do you
escape routes or methods in basically that we may or may not?
Can I suggest that there's a trash compactor?
There has to be a trash compactor on each floor, and there has to be a way for people to access that from individual apartments. So the way, but I want to check, Blake, are you talking about Tsenn now finding a way into the building or into an apartment in the building? Because those are two different questions, I think.
Probably just into the building in case we need an escape route or to get in without being seen.
I mean, probably the simplest solution. I mean, you know, floor 87 is just 13 floors from the roof. So if you're talking about infiltration or exfiltration, the roof would feel like the simplest way to do it, unless Halo could hover the ship outside floor 87. You just blow a window and jump. Which one of those do you want?
Not the latter.
So access from the roof to various trash compactors.
Yeah.
And beyond that, to apartments. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Halo, you were asking questions about the opposition. So is there something else that's come to mind yet that Pollux, your shady contact, might you want to ask him or not?
Yeah, I think whether it's Pollux giving me the information or because I maybe know some of these individuals from the past, maybe something more about their methodologies and their those kinds of things that would give us a clue as to how they might be approaching what they're doing.
Okay. Teen is not unsubtle. The kind of hustler aspect of Teen would suggest that a soft entry might be what they've got in mind. But the Wookie and the Chiss can provide a significant level of personal security around that. Does that seem like, because I think I told you that they've got vehicle or vehicles. We now know that we've got a Wookiee and a Chiss who are more combat orientated, and we've got the Zabrak herself, who is more at the softer disguise, persuasion, whatever end of the scale. Does that seem like a reasonable help in speccing them out?
Yeah, so it sounds like we might suspect that they're not going to come in. I guess I'm hearing that they probably, their style is they may not come in blasting, but it might be something more subtle. And given that we know the Zabrak is a disguises sort of person, might infiltrate more subtly. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is, I think, what you know. If you want to put any of that into the operation sheet, that's fine. But I still have Vann. What kind of scene do you have in mind?
I think we know the floor, we know the few apartments. We still need to actually identify like a likely place for Dr. Uravan himself, the man, or something that he cares about, right? What is my skill set? Oh, I was thinking about maybe changing disguise to authority, just because I used to be a bounty hunter. Previously, I was a criminal, right? Because we changed untrained talent and perception, and disguise was kind of like the leftover talent.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I've lost. I don't want to double up on criminality, and I've lost my non-sport. I don't want to just use the force for everything. You know what I mean?
Okay. Authority it is. So
yeah. So I think it's. I think that Dr. Uravan has gone to ground here, but he can't have done so without making some payments, some bribes, something to some people, right? Paying off some Imperials, like who would have had him on the books or anything, right? Somebody somewhere is greasing the wheels. So I'm going to use authority, calling up on my Bounty Hunters Guild membership, tracking down Dr. Uravan, and I'm going to go through dirty cops and things. And I think, it's going to be like speaking to the local planeted Carania police kind of thing, probably like private police in this sort of corporatized Zinj capital, right? Like, so the Metroplex sec, the people who are like way below the Stormies and other things, right? Like, but equally probably underfunded, overworked, and heavily bribed by anybody who can scrap together a few credits. I'm going to be looking to see what Dr. Uravan, where specifically on that floor are they paid to look the other way, or bring things to, or that kind of thing,
Yeah, let's have you roll. I think we'll play the authority card. So yeah, roll with expertise, green stress dice if you want it.
Where is the dice roller? Lines and veils, sorry. Stress die? No. That's a 5.
5, that's not bad, is it?
No.
So basic information is that's weird. You're the second person to ask me that question in the last week. Do you know Denegar?
Denegar?
Yeah. And you do know Denegar. Denegar's a human bounty hunter.
Yeah. Dengar?
Yeah. Denegar asked me the same question like a week ago about, anything, let's call it Vann, let's call it unusual going on floor 87. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want an apartment number from this?
Yeah, an apartment number, yeah, or wherever it may be on this block, yeah.
Apartment 24. And he asked me almost exactly the same thing. You know, is anyone, any you know, are the floor guys taking any, you know, backhanders? You know, is there, are the floor guys being asked that if anybody asks about, you know, anyone suspicious asks about stuff, that they're to tell the guy in apartment 24?
Well, better get a move on if I want to get that bounty then. I flip him a cred, you know.
Fine, fine. So broadly, that is our setup. We are past our first hour, so I'm going to suggest we take a break now, until about 1/4 the hour. That's 6 minutes, long enough? Okay, so I'll pause the recording, back at 1/4. Okay, so I think our setup is pretty clear. We're in search of Dr. Uravan, a former Imperial scientist, gone to ground in this slum block, 1 of 7, block 5. He's on the 87th floor. And the whisper from Vann's leverage of the bounty hunters is that another bounty hunter, Denegar, who I think it's not unreasonable for me to say has had connections with Team before, the Zabrak leader of the opposition team, also asked the question about, is there anywhere, you know, any hints of something odd going on floor 84, floor 87, and that led the suggestion to the security guys on that floor have been told to, you know, just you know, apartment 24. Just, you know, don't worry about what's going on at 24. Don't, you know, here's a few creds. Just, you know, don't mention apartment 24 to anyone. And yet Vann's contact at the bounty hunters seemed, you know, happy to talk to him about it. We know something about the team, and I think I fleshed that out. Led by Team Sodok, a Zabrak hustler, with a Chiss and a Wookie for security, and a human bounty hunter, Denegar, and another human who, given that I think, Halo, you were told they had a ship or maybe some other vehicles, the assumption is that the 5th member of the team may well be pilot, getaway driver, something like that. Yeah. And that, I think, is everything we know. Now, before we kick off the operation, there is the option for you to spend some intel. I'm not sure exactly how much intel you've got to play with at the moment. Well, I mean, Kitporin, you've got Kitporin. That sounds terrible. Kitporin, you have 3 intel. Vann has 1, and so does Tsenn. It is possible for you to spend that intel either to flesh out that briefing with ask me another question, spend an intel, ask a question, or to define something that you're going to encounter during this operation at which you and you alone will look really cool. So let me start with the person who has most intel. Kit, you have 3 intel. What are you thinking? Do you want to spend any of that, or do you want to sit on it?
And then when you say picking something to look cool, that's the obstacles/complications.
Exactly so.
Yeah. And is that a pick list, or is that
no, it's an entirely open one.
Narrative. Okay.
I mean, don't feel obliged. I simply put it on the table.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, let's get it started. I'm a Wookiee, so I need to have a physical confrontation with some, you know, equally physically, you know, skilled combatant of some sort.
Fine. Physical conflict with a similarly
some sort of brawl,
challenging individual.
So I'll spend an intel for that. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Vann, you're also sitting on a point of intel. Do you want to spend it now?
Sure. If can define it as loosely as Jason just is, like a physical fight with someone. I think a corridor fight. Yeah, actually, you know what? A chase of some kind. A chase.
A chase.
Yeah, yeah. And I leave that open to be me being chased or me doing the chasing, you know?
Fine. So that's your intel out of the way. And Tsenn, you also have a point of intel. Do you want to spend it? I will remind you folks that the more obstacles that you define, the fewer I have left to deploy. I always get to deploy one complication, but at the moment I would have been deploying 4 complications. Having defined those 2, I now only have 2 complications to deploy.
I was
So,
going to
Tsenn,
say the merc team put up some cameras in the corridor.
so say that again.
The mercenary teams put up some cameras in the corridor.
Right. So there's some kind of security obstacle that you need to cross.
Yes.
Security / surveillance obstacle to address with comms expertise. Yeah. Fine. That's fine. And Halo, you're the one who doesn't have any intel at the moment, so I won't even ask the question. So I am down to a single complication, guys. You know, what could go wrong? You are almost home free before we start. But I did want to have that scene, I suppose, just between Kit and Vann, that just ties back to the previous series and maybe just fleshes out what the relationship between you at this point is. So where does that scene take place? Is it on Halo's ship, or is it, you know, as you approach the target building?
Maybe as we're walking in. I keep picturing, by the way, as we're doing this, the mega city from like Dread, you know, like Dread. Is that kind
exactly
of basically what we're doing? Okay. Yeah, so we're walking in through the huge doors in the ground floor, and you know, of course, when I speak, it's all growls and woofs and stuff, but you know, everybody understands me. But you know, it's like, look,
we all speak Shiriwook, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do this the right way this time.
We do it the right way every time, Kit.
No, sometimes killing is killing, but we don't need to be cruel. We don't need to punish.
Listen, you got to be worried about what's your Malabaka. These people are. Every person we find that we hunt down is another link towards getting her back. I don't know about you, but I'd do anything to find mine, the people I lost. But if you're saying you won't, well,
I'll find her. Don't worry about that. But if we do it the wrong way, we just become one of them.
Yeah. As we step, I think, into the big, like, communal turbo lifts in this ramshackle building, you know.
Oh, I did just want to check. Remember, I'd forgotten when I did my description a moment ago. There is roof access to the garbage chutes and a trash compactor on every floor. And I just wanted to, just before we step into the large atrium access, whether in fact we are going in through the ground floor and up, or the roof and in.
I think we're going to go in through the ground floor and maybe get out through the garbage. That's what I would say. Maybe we should take a minute to like meta and kind of like, what's our basic plan?
I'm very happy with that.
So are we? Go ahead.
I would suggest, you know, Pokelonostos, right? You know, both their options, right? Like the roof, we have a pilot, we have a ship. Obviously, the pilot and the ship would probably be best from the roof. And we go in through the ground, and perhaps our tech expert is you know, closer to the roof through the access panels, the trash things and stuff like that. So we're kind of moving in from both. So we're taking the public routes, and they're taking the kind of like, because I imagine these metroplexes must have like roof, skimmer, speeder access, right? Because it's Star Wars, it's a mega city. So like, it's not like in real life where you'd be like sneaking in through the roof. It's kind of like, it's a different route in at the end of the day versus the ground floor. It's less traveled, but it's still, you know, it's like a car park basically, right? You know, to a great extent.
I'm very happy, you know, the thick end of an acre of space up there, you know, various pads leveled, you know, some with beaten up air speeders, you know, on bricks, you know, some larger. So Halo, you've got pilot, which means you don't just get to have a ship, but you can define one vehicle other than the ship for every operation to have at your disposal. So I suppose my question is this the ship, or do you have some other getaway vehicle in mind?
Well, I had two thoughts on that. One was either just some sort of maybe they boosted some sort of just standard I don't know what they would be called, speeder of some sort, or from a ship perspective, I was kind of thinking something along the lines of what's the one from the Star Wars Rebels animated series, and it had like a little thing that popped off. I think the ship was called the Ghost, but it had like a smaller part of the ship, like almost like a little shuttle, smaller piece that came off of it. I don't care either one, but yeah,
Yeah, no, let's give it a shuttle.
Yeah.
An atmospheric to orbit capable small ship. So Halo, do we see you at the controls of this shuttle, as with some indication on the screens of a little flashing indicator of where block 7 is? Block 5, sorry. Block 5 is?
Yeah, I had a couple again, I had a couple thoughts. Either Tsenn might be with her on the ship, and maybe we take up a position on the roof so that we're ready when they come with I'm assuming they're gonna exfiltrate the individual, or when they do that, because I would assume that somebody needs to maybe ensure that the trash compactors get shut off appropriately if so I maybe also see a scene where one of the two of us, I know that Halo has the intrusion expertise too.
Let me make this simple, right? There is no need for someone to stay on the ship. I'm going to assume that you have some kind of astromech that is capable of, basic piloting. So if you need to call the ship, that's fine. The idea of a significant player character being stuck on the ship waiting for the escape is tedious. So don't worry about that.
So
Intrude away.
Are we all going in together, or I know
No, you
Well-
and I are coming from the roof.
What I've
Okay.
got in my mind at the moment, let me just speak it back to you, is the shuttle is going to come in at the roof, piloted by Halo, with Tsenn with her. And at the same time, we've got a Wookie and a human coming in through the ground floor and heading up to floor 87. And the sense, again, stop me if I've got this wrong, is that Halo and Tsenn are going to intrude to floor 87 using the garbage chute to the trash compactor, and from the trash compactor directly into apartment 24. Hopefully at the point when a Wookiee and a human kick in the door of apartment 24 or similar.
Well, I was thinking maybe we know that there's another team that's looking for him and knows pretty much what we know. So maybe what would you guys think about let them grab him and then we will grab him from them? Or would you prefer kicking in the door and go?
I think the only problem with that is that you've done all this briefing on the building, and what you want to do is to wait until they run from the building and hope you catch them. I
think it's a bad tactic anyways, unless we think that they're already in there, right? Like if there's a race to find somebody, you don't want to have to like fight through them to get them. You want to get them before they get there, right? So I think like our current setup is that we're on a clock, right? Like we know that they're moving in. This is how we got to get in there fast and take him out. So I think it's
they based on the briefing, they're there to neutralize the source, so they may not come and take them. They may just kill them, and
it's
so
true.
that we have to assume. I think that is a possibility.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I'm envisaging then. We cut back to Vann and Kit coming in through the ground floor, heading to this, dilapidated set of central core elevators. Some of them kind of just flickering, while Halo and Tsenn have landed on the roof. Let me start with Halo and Tsenn, because it unless you're going to surprise me, it's fairly clear to me how Kit and Vann are going to get to floor 87. But I am curious about how Halo and Tsenn are going to get to floor 87 once you land on the roof. So I'm going to go to Halo first, because no, I'm going to go to Tsenn first, because I'm wondering whether there is some surveillance or comms work to be done before we go to Halo to infiltrate.
Yeah, I want to do some surveillance to like tap into the cameras or whatever, just make sure there isn't suddenly a lot of guards there that weren't there before or whatever, just to have a quick look.
Fine. Let's have you roll to investigate with comms and surveillance are both relevant, so expertise is in play. And of course, you can always have the stress dice. I can't say that often enough.
Why the hell not?
Oh, look at that. And a 6
Okay.
on the stress dice means stress goes up immediately. Brilliant.
happy
Well
now?
done. So for nothing, I will tell you that you can see, what can you see? You can see, yeah, I'll give you access to the cameras. Yeah, and not all of them work, so it's sketchy, but I think there's enough for us to know that Vann and Kit, you see them approaching the elevator. Plan's going perfectly so far. And also for nothing. No, I think that's what I'll give you for nothing. Actually, now I come to think about it, we're at the sharp end now. So you've got 2 questions you can ask me. Mark intel, because you rolled a 6, and I'll come back to the roll for stress went up, but I'm curious why. But you ask me some questions that might explain why stress just went up.
And do I remember correctly, instead of asking a question, you could establish something, right?
You could. So you could tell me about, because you were interested in whether there was, what did we call them? Metroplex sec. Metroplex sec is, are you curious about whether there's a lot of them about?
No, I was thinking one of this mercenary team was one of the bastards that came to my workplace and I had to flee. Like I
Oh,
recognize one of those teams
yes.
before.
Okay. I am going to give you Arhinda, the Chiss mercenary. So Arhinda, the Chiss mercenary, you see them on floor 86. That's the answer to one question. You've got another question to ask, or another statement for me to agree with.
Could it be that the Metroplex, second-rate security guard dudes are mysteriously absent at this moment?
Do you know, if you hadn't said it, that's what I would have suggested. It is Metroplex Sec is missing from 86, 87, and 88. People are moving about. I'm thinking broad halls on each floor around the kind of core elevators. But yeah, on all 3 of those floors, there is no sign of Metroplex Sec security.
Fantastic.
Which is probably why that stress went up. So we've got that. Let's cut. I'll come back to Halo for intrusion in a moment, but let's cut back to Vann and Kit. I'm seeing you in an elevator. It's big. There are probably 20 or 30 people in here, going about their business. Stops at floor 2, and so there's this, crackly, what was probably once Muzak, but and then occasionally Zinj is here for you. As you go up, slowly making your progress up to 87. Do you want to do anything else? You're just waiting for the doors to open on 87.
Well, I'm not sure if go ahead.
I was going to say the only thing I want to do is as we get to that floor, just stop the people who try and get off on the same floor as us and just say, you know, not today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what does that look like?
I mean, I think it would be, you know, in you don't really see like a bounty hunters guild badge or anything, right? But like just pulling off that whole kind of like, you know, in the Mandalorian show, right? It would be the moment where he says not today, and then it goes da-dun, and everyone backs away from
So authority is in play. So
Yeah.
you are rolling with expertise, stress dice if you'd like it.
No, I won't with the stress dice yet. Oh, only a 1 and a 2, so yeah.
And short of calling on a contact, there's no re-roll to be made on this.
Yeah, you're right. There isn't, is there? This is doing something else, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I would love to succeed at a cost, I guess, if that's possible.
Say that again.
Succeed at a cost. I'm trying to think what that would be. I think beyond people just ignoring me and getting off anyways, like in a rush of people, perhaps.
I think that most of them stay, but I think that a bunch of youths are kind of fuck you, man,
yeah,
and
like
bustle out onto the floor.
bustle out
they're
as they
too
go out.
cool to be,
Yeah.
to be seen to back down.
Yeah.
So I think while
Khaki
most of the
Slimo.
people,
Yeah.
most of the people stay there, this small group bustle out onto the floor.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
does that seem
Vann
like
just,
fair?
yeah, that seems good. Yeah, and Vann will shrug and will like, you know, shake his head and look at Kit and just go, you know, we tried.
And I think that gives me, I've got 2 complications to play with. Oh no, I've only got 1. No, I'm going to keep that one in hand then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've
Well,
got some bystanders if I need them. Go on, Kit.
I was going to say, try to figure out how to trigger that alarm we talked about earlier, but I don't know if I still need to, since what or whether Vann just cleared the floor, so to speak.
Well, he didn't clear the floor. What he's done is to stop it getting any worse.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's
So
not immediately a whole load of bystanders. So yeah, if you could find an alarm and get it to trigger, that would be a good thing.
right.
But maybe we need to cut back to Halo and Tsenn, whose skill set might be more appropriate to that. So Halo, how do you imagine, what do we see as, you know, are you going to go in through the trash compactors, or are you just going to go to the central elevators? There's 2 options.
Yeah, I think what we'll see, I think we're gonna do, let's stick with the trash compactors. We committed to that, and it's very Star Wars, so let's just stay with that. And so I think what we maybe see is her and Tsenn hop off the shuttle onto the roof, and I think she's got like you know, I think we see her with like some sort of like data pad of some sort, right? And it's got like it's got like the classic, you know, blinking dot thing, and so she's orienting herself, and then they're marching through, and you see all of these different like vent stacks sticking up, because what I'm imagining is that what we're going to enter through is some sort of like vent stack for the trash compactor, right? Because the I'm assuming it's in the basement. If people are throwing their stuff in there, it's going
There's a
down.
trash compactor on every floor.
Okay.
And then stuff goes from there into a kind of goes down a chute to the
Right,
bottom.
but I imagine that there's some sort of like vent stack that they can get into, and so I think we see them, you know, with this data pad, you know, orienting herself, and then they march off to the right one, and then maybe they lift it off, like it's got some sort of cover. We see them lift the cover off, preparing, and I suppose she could be the one that while others maybe got the codes or the things to do so if she's got the intrusion stuff with this data pad, maybe she's the one that's going to initiate through that intrusion, through the you know, the lockdown on that floor.
Okay.
She could be the one that locks it down, and then that's maybe sort of the signal that these guys know, because I'm assuming it's gonna set off some sort of like
yeah. Let's hope so. So Halo, this is a good time for me to ask you how heavily loaded you are. You all default to light loaded, but which means that you are, inconspicuous. Medium loaded, you're not as inconspicuous. Heavy loaded, you are obviously here from what the public will view as to do no good. You're a threat in motion. So light, medium, or heavy?
Given where they're at, gosh, they're gonna go down the I'm gonna say medium.
Okay, fine. Tsenn, let me ask you the same question.
Probably medium, but it's not like guns, it's like tech stuff.
Yeah, you want to have a bit of a bit of scope. So what I'm going to do is for Halo, I'm just selecting datapad and marking your first bit of gear. And I'd like to suggest that we see you rappelling down some kind of rope down this vent, followed by Tsenn, I think. In terms of triggering the alarm, security, whatever, given that Tsenn defined their obstacle as security surveillance obstacle to address with comms, I think that's the way I'm going to go.
Does it have to be comms? Can I use my concealment Jedi Force thing?
You could do if yeah. I mean, we're not there yet, I think, then, because I don't think anybody's going to have cameras in the vents in this building.
Yeah.
So Halo, let's have you roll to see how well this intrusion you've set up goes, shall we? And you might get an alarm if you do really badly anyway. Who knows? So expertise is in play. So grey dice and orange dice, the green stress dice if you'd like it, rolling to do something else. No, actually, I think it's probably to maintain your cover at this point, because failure to do so may well cause us a problem.
Okay, I think I've got all three checked. Why wouldn't we use the stress die at this point? And I like to think too, as we're prepping and getting down there, she's bitching to Tsenn about, like, seriously, this jacket costs like 500 creds, and we're going down the trash chute, and they go up the elevator as she's entering and doing all of this.
Ah, 6. Brilliant. Well done. That's as good as it gets. Unfortunately, it's on the stress dice, so increase stress by 1, would you? Mark intel. And this goes brilliantly. So not only is this intrusion smooth, but what is the additional benefit that you get here?
Please, anybody who has a thought, throw in there, but I'm thinking other than not ruining her jacket, that's probably selfish.
Someone stash something in the vents?
Yeah, please.
What was that?
Maybe someone stashed something in the vents, like a useful data pad or something, or
I mean,
you've got drug.
You've got so much gear headroom at the moment. I don't know what that's going to give you that might not just be in your pack.
An additional benefit from these vents that connect the trash compactors and things too, that apartment 24 has its own vent from this connected vent from the chute. So there's we didn't know about it. It wasn't on the plans that we had access to or whatever, right? But within this vent, if we went through there, I think that'll take us to the back of apartment, wherever, right? Yeah.
I quite right. A benefit could be you can avoid the trash compactor compartment. So the risk of being compacted goes away.
Yeah, I like that. That works.
Yeah. Okay. And probably, in grubby, smeared with muck and slime is a little kind of plate that says, floor 87, apartments 20 to 27 or something like that, which gives you a kind of, you can work it out from there. Of course, it's smaller. And so now I'm seeing you crawling through here. Tsenn, talk to me about this challenge. Have you fleshed out the shape this challenge might take, this obstacle, security surveillance obstacle to address with comms? Well, I wrote down with comms, just because that's what I thought you had in mind, but if not,
Oh, yeah, I'm happy either way. I thought maybe they've got some portable little cameras they've just whacked on the top of the wall, and yeah, I can either use electronics to interfere with them or the force to just, we're not interesting.
I suppose at the minute, what I'm wondering is whether the security surveillance issue is, I think the expectation is you're going to trigger a floor alarm that's going to trigger a lockdown to clear people off the corridors. That was part of the plan, I think.
Okay.
And so I that's why I was looking to you, but don't let me twist your arm. You want to set up some cameras somewhere? That's fine.
No. I thought the mercs did, and I just had to disable them so that they didn't know we were here.
Yeah, that's so like the two things are Jason identified that in his research, and Blake determined that the mercs had already set up their own security countermeasures and surveillance within the building. So
which one?
Yeah.
Trigger a lockdown or identify and turn off the security, the kind of surveillance they've already set up. Take your pick. And I suppose you could use the force for that if you wanted to.
Yeah, all right. I'll use the force. What the hell? Let's give it a go.
Fine. So we're going to, I think it's on basic. Yeah, I think I put it on basic moves. Use the force. So when use the force, so this is maintain your cover, I would suggest. Right? Describe how you use concealment to confuse or cloud the perceptions of a target. So what do we see you doing with your force power here?
I think I'm just sort of swishing my hand back and forth slowly, and it's like the air around us is getting blurry and thicker, so it's hard to tell our features.
And I'll go further than that. I think we'll have a cut scene to someone. We're looking over someone's shoulder at a bank of monitors, which are showing a variety of different views on 86, 87, 88. And as you do that, the signal breaks up. So whatever surveillance they're running is now less effective than it was, or that's the theory. Let's see how well this goes. In each case, so you are going to mark stress to use the force. You're going to roll a d6. You're going to have temporary access to a kind of technical skill. So you roll the expertise dice. You can always roll the stress dice if you wanted.
Not this time.
Okay. Look at that, a 6. So on a 6, maintain your cover. This goes brilliantly. Do you want to extend the effect that you have on these surveillance systems in any way?
Just so that me and Halo are all right, because yeah.
I think my description means that the cameras on 86, 87, 88 are gone. Is there anything else you want this to do?
That people don't even notice because they're too busy playing cards or Candy Crush or whatever it is?
I think I'm even prepared to go so far as to have we looked over the shoulder of someone at these screens and the head of the person just droops.
I was just thinking it was like they're staring at the screen and watching it. They just don't see, like they're just like nothing on the screen, sir. Even though there's like people walking past because you've clouded their minds, like move along.
Nothing to see here. These are not the cameras you want to monitor. Solid. You are hidden from external observation. Yeah. Let's go back to Vann and Kit as you exit onto that floor. No alarm yet, Kit. So if nobody else is doing it, are you going to try and trigger an alarm here of some kind? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think I'm just frustrated at the alarm still being on and Vann not being able to intimidate everybody. So I think if it makes sense, I guess I just go to a panel and rip it off and start pulling out wires. Just the
I think like
force.
we
and
like
see what happens.
flip. You know what I mean? Like I walk towards the door, right? Like nod at him as he goes off to the corner, and you just hear that wrench in the background.
Let's have you go to work on this then. This is
On that
pretty much.
I'm sorry. On that last roll, does Blake get an intel for that for his 6?
He did. And also you need to roll for stress, I think, on that 6. Well spotted.
Oh, so me? Yep.
Yeah, afraid so.
Another 6.
You can tell I've just written that, use the force rule.
4.
A 4. Stress goes up by 1.
Shit. Right.
Yeah, it's roaring along. The force is the way to go. But yeah, you get to mark intel. What's not to like? So yeah, Kit, I think this is, there's no expertise at play here. You're just damaging stuff in the hope the lockdown kicks off, yeah?
I'll use the stress die, so just the 2 dice, right? Okay. There's
At 6 on the stress dice, brilliant. You know, sirens begin to blare. People, you know, this wide thoroughfare on floor 87. You know, people look at the alarms. They're either heading to the elevators or the stair access or to their apartments. You know, that it's clearing. So that removes my possibility for innocent bystanders. Even those kids, those youths are disappearing. That goes off, Vann. What do I see you doing?
One thing, Alan, and I get an intel because I rolled a 6, right?
You do, but you don't have to roll for stress because it's already
because I got stress. And the way this works, when you roll the stress die, it's you gain stress if the stress die is the highest of the dice. Is that how that works?
If you rely on if the stress dice is in a roll, a dice pool, and it is equal to or higher than any other dice, stress automatically goes up.
Okay.
If you roll a 6, you have to roll for stress, which means you roll a dice, and if it is higher than your current stress goes up.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Vann, you know, we see behind you the Wookiee just tearing panels out of the wall and just, you know, ripping conduits aside.
I think Vann is like walking like, you know, determinedly, but like casually, right? And then as you hit like those wrenches and things, like, you know, the panel being ripped off, the Wookiee sort of like growl and how like as he gets to work, he starts to pick up pace. And then as the alarms go off, he just breaks into a run and he's going straight for apartment 24. You know, because the alarm's off. So like whoever's in that room now knows that there's something going on, right? So it's immediately like not giving him a chance to stop. I'm just going to go straight through that door.
And as we see Vann running towards apartment 24, of course, Halo and Tsenn, you arrive at the trash compactor entry for apartment 24. Did I say 25? I meant 24. And so I'm kind of imagining split screen here or sharp cuts between Vann kicking the front door in or trying to get through the front door while Halo and Tsenn make an entry into the apartment itself. Yeah. I'll ask Halo, are you doing this the subtle way, or are you kicking your way through, you know, what would be I suppose the kitchenette unit in this apartment?
That's a good question. I think not subtle. I'm going to establish her approach early on.
Fine.
So yeah, I think she's going to come in hot. I think that's.
I'm imagining, you know, bracing your back against the wall of the ducting you're in, and then just kicking the wall of the kitchenette. You know, because this is thin plastic board. At the same time, Vann, what do we see you at the front door of the apartment?
I mean, so I needed to ask you about my operators, my untrained talent. My interpretation, I don't think it's actually said anywhere in the sheet, but my interpretation of that is that I get to choose a second force ability, basically, right? Like,
right. Yeah. Right. So you have perception. You can use that anytime you like.
Yeah.
The way that untrained talent works is you can use one of the other, You know, so if you check out, let's do this by example.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
to basic moves. You've got perception, so you could use that to investigate fairly obviously.
Mhm.
You could use that to chase them down. You might even use it for certain aspects or do something else. But were you, for instance, to want to use telekinesis to burst open this door, I would tick off telekinesis, and you'd
Okay.
have to work your way around to another skill. You have to use each of those skills, you know, so you have to find an excuse to use the force to investigate, maintain your cover, flee for your life, chase them down, do something else, take them out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the way I'd imagined this was that we see you looking at the door and you're not quite certain how to come at it, and then the force comes to you. Trust
Yeah.
in the force, Vann. Trust in the force.
Yeah, yeah. 100%. So I think I'm using telekinesis to do something else here.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
so.
Which
So you know,
I think is as I run towards the door, you know, it's just going to be like a picking up speed, cloak, you know, like moving into the wind behind me as I run.
and I'm seeing the hinges begin to vibrate, the pins
As I
in the
get closer
hinges
and
beginning
closer.
to come out. Let's see how that goes. So use the force.
Okay.
So you're going to mark stress
Mhm.
to use it, and then you are going to roll with what amounts to military expertise, i.e. the force of the blow, the
Yeah,
telekinesis.
yeah. And
So
I don't need to mark kit or anything because I have this. But you know, I'm just saying that this is the advantage of the force, right? Like, you know,
exactly.
It,
So you're rolling with expertise, stress
Mhm.
dice if you like it.
Yeah, I'm going to use a stress die.
Okay. Look at that, a 6, and it's not even on the stress dice. So that goes really well. The 6, this goes perfectly. What we're seeing is Halo kicking in the kitchen wall at the same time. What is the first time we've seen you use force telekinesis do to this door?
I think this door, like as I approach it, right, like I leap into the air and I'm like not gonna looks like I'm about to barge through it, but instead of being barging through the door, just goes boom, boom, like spins like straight across, and I just superhero land in the middle of the frame, you know, like
Fine.
where.
Fine.
Do I
And
mark intel? And do I roll?
you mark intel because you rolled a 6, but you also roll for stress, as well as the one it cost you to invoke the use.
Stress goes up.
Stress goes up. Do you know why stress goes up?
Why?
Because I am going to use my only complication to throw. Where's it gone? I can never find it when I want it. It's a setup. Everything you've learned was fed to you to get you here in the conspiracy's crosshairs. At that point, Kit, you will see another Wookie at the emergency stair access down to floor 86. No, the corridor leading to the 40s. Right? So there is another Wookie across this large kind of thoroughfare as a barrier to the rooms that run 40 to 49. Yeah. Halo, you burst into the back, and the reason we know that this is the wrong apartment is because you're looking at Vann at the doorway, and to be honest, this is a tiny apartment. There's nowhere to hide. And Tsenn, you know, behind you, seeing the same thing. Yeah. So let me go to Kit.
Is there no one in this apartment just to check? Like we've all come into an empty apartment, basically.
It's an empty apartment.
Cool.
And I think probably we cut to just a comms from their bounty hunter saying, you did make it clear that it was 24 that anyone is to inquire about. Yeah. Strange. Guy called Vann called me, so I told him what you told me to tell him. Kit, there is, I quote, a possibility of physical confrontation with a similarly challenging individual. What, if anything, do we see you do?
I'm going to growl, it's a trap, and pull out my, is it a gaffy stick? Is that what they use, the Tusken Raiders? Pull that out from under my robes and go at my Wookiee opponent.
Fine. Who prepares himself by drawing a gun.
Okay.
You know, you bring a club to a gunfight. He growls. Halo, Tsenn, you're in the apartment. Vann, you see them. You hear the growl behind you. You look around. You know, Kit is in motion towards another Wookiee. What do you do, Vann? Then Halo, then Tsenn. Vann.
I have an extra benefit to my telekinesis in the 6+, don't I?
You do.
Yeah. I'm trying
That
to think.
could be that you continue. You have another action you could use it for.
Yeah. I guess the problem is at the moment, the Wookiee's dealing with the Wookiee. Where are the other threats coming in from? I suppose, like, yeah, that can't be the end of it. You know, I feel like we're in
Exactly.
the reaction, and I don't know what to react to.
Okay, well, let me give you something to react to. Right, you see a speeder go past the window, and someone smiles out the window and waves, and then it goes around the other side of the building, or that's where it's heading.
Okay. It goes past the window.
Or it is going past the window
It is going past the window. Well,
with a Zabrak woman smiling.
Well, I have an extra use of telekinesis.
You do.
Okay. I think it says in the rules about using force telekinesis to do the force jump as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking about maybe like crashing her speeder back into the building on a different floor, but maybe it's cooler to leap out of the window and crash, like dangle off the back of the speeder as it goes away, right? Like
let's have you make that force leap. Now, this will give you the only physical skill we've got here is military expertise. So that's what you're doing. Let me go to Halo, then Tsenn. Halo, what are you doing? Because again, you know, you'll see behind Vann Kit, you know, running across the door frame.
Right. So yeah, we bust in, and what she basically sees is him jump out the window.
That's what he's running towards the window, you know, extending his hand.
And then we see Kit running down the other way.
Wookiee howls filling the corridor behind us, I think, right? Like,
yeah.
Right.
Those challenge howls that Wookiees tend to roar.
Well, shit. Shit indeed.
I can come back to you.
Yeah, let's see if Tsenn has any bright ideas.
Tsenn, you come into the kitchenette area behind Halo. You see the same thing. Vann looks like he's going to jump out the window. Kit is clearly dealing with a Wookiee out there in the concourse. What do you do?
I was thinking as a diversion, can I set off the trash compactors so they all start, you know, blowing up gunk everywhere?
You can. I mean, I will remind you that those trash compactors connect to the inside of the apartments.
Well, how about the ones not immediately near us, but sort of just generally in the building to start having people go all over the place and set off alarms and stuff?
Okay, so we've got a lockdown that has sent people back to their apartments. Let's have you use your technical expertise, shall we say, to try and cause trash compactors to begin to spew trash the wrong way into apartments. Yeah?
A 1 and a 3, that's not good.
Great. A 1 and a 3. Well, what can I do with that? What can I do with that? Oh, I know. Halo, you wanted to know what Tsenn was doing. You see him tinkering with the trash compactor controls. And you can see a kind of here grinding. And it stops. And then and the trash compactor unit begins to vibrate. What do you do before it explodes? I tell you what, think about it. We'll take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at about 12 minutes past the hour. See you in a moment. Okay, so we left for that short commercial break with Tsenn having really messed up the trash compactor system on floor 87. Halo, I'm going to go to you first. Vann is about to leap out the window in pursuit of a speeder. Tsenn has just caused the trash compactor system in this apartment to explode. Do you flee for your life from the apartment, or do you have another plan? I'm going to give you first choice because you see what he's doing.
Yes. So I think I like that. So well, a qualified yes. So I think as soon as they get in there and she sees that it's a that it's a setup, right? You know, this isn't her first rodeo. She knows something's up. She turns to be like, screw this, I'm out of here. And she turns to go, and then all of a sudden the thing starts, because she's gonna go back the way they came. And then I think she's going to you know, like sort of like swear. I'll get boned up on my Star Wars swear words before the next session for authenticity, but
we should have a little card.
and then I think maybe she will leap towards the hallway, like dive towards the hallway to escape the blast or the thing exploding.
Okay. Tsenn, I'm going to ask you the same thing. This is about to explode. You hit the wrong button or you pulled the wrong wire loose. What do? Also fleeing, or are you going to just take the hit?
No, I'm going to flee up the elevator.
So you're heading out the apartment towards onto the concourse and wherever from there. So let's start with Halo. Flee for your life, because I'm going to leave Vann till last, because I have visions of an explosion coming out of the window, and depending on how well the Force telekinesis goes, we'll determine what happens to Vann as he comes out the front of that explosion. So flee for your life, Halo. To be honest, there isn't none of your expertise is going to apply to this. So it's the grey dice and the stress dice if you'd like it.
Can I make an argument that those who are involved in larceny are often running away?
Larceny works if you're blending into a crowd.
Okay.
But there's only military expertise at play here. So grey and green if you want it.
No, it says he's got small arms, so it's less of him to hit.
Yeah, so I will hang on. One. I've got to use the stress die. It's not fun until you hit 4 stress.
Oh, a 3, and it's on the stress dice. So stress goes up by 1 and you fail. 1 to 3, you're in trouble. Choose to either get caught or agree with control who or what gets left behind before you mark heat and try to flee for your life again. Because this is an explosion you're trying to escape. What I'm prepared to do is to have you escape, but at the cost of some of your equipment being burned. Yeah? Is that a cost you are prepared to take?
Yeah, including that fancy jacket of hers too.
The fancy jacket was in my mind, you know, and I think we'll see you kind of roll over and you know, the back is just, you know, speckled with debris and gunk. But I'm gonna halve your remaining. So I've marked another two blocks of load. Tsenn, let's see if you do any better.
So what dice am I rolling?
You're rolling grey and the green one if you want it.
I mean,
I've just marked my first heat. Sorry, go ahead. Oh, 6, and it's not even on the stress dice. That goes brilliantly. So how do we see you actually get out of the apartment before Halo? So Halo protects you from the blast.
I think he's crouching and half sort of running on all fours. He's just shitting himself, running, scampering.
And then leaps for it. Great.
So noise.
So you are home free. and land on your feet outside with Halo in a pile beside you. Meanwhile, Kit, let me have you. I think you need to avoid getting shot before you make contact. So let's have you roll to confront, but there's nothing at stake for them. So
Okay.
your military expertise will count. So
Okay.
expertise is in play, but I want you to roll 2 of the risk die as well.
Okay. Should I declare armor now or wait to see if I need it?
You
Is
wait
that
to
how
see
that
if you
works?
need it.
Okay. So I've got 3 dice, not the deadly die though, and
No.
2 danger dice.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Looks like a 5.
That's 5. It's not on the stress dice, and it's higher than either risk dice. So, you know, the bowcaster, you know, how do you avoid that? What do we see that makes you look cool?
I think as I start running at this guy, one of the last pipes I grab releases the you know, the fire retardant, you know, gas or, you know, fluid or whatever that comes spraying out into this corridor to like obscure the vision.
And then out of that, you know, suppressant gas comes you. I'll come back to you because we do need to know what happens with Vann, the explosion, the window, and the speeder. I'm going to treat this as chase them down.
Cool.
Yeah. So can you force leap and successfully chase them down?
Mm-hmm.
So
my expertise. Yep. I'll include the stress die because I got a free use of the force thanks to the 6 on the last one. So
you did.
Yeah, I'd be losing money not doing it, right?
You would. You would.
Yeah. Oh, that's 3 6s. All 3 of them 6s.
Wow.
I mean, you don't have any crit rolls, do you? You
No,
do.
if only there was some benefit to the multiple 6. As it is, all that costs you is stress.
Yeah. My stress goes up. I gain a point.
Mark intel.
Yeah.
Wish you could mark it more than once, but sadly not. And on a 6, you succeed brilliantly. Control will agree with you what extra benefit you get. So, you know, how cool does this look? Because I have to have a view outside as, you know, she's looking over her shoulder as the window explodes outwards as the trash compactor blows up.
Yeah.
And then
I think, you know, I must, like, she smiles, she's zooming off, and then it's just boom out of the window. And then, like, from her perspective, like, you know, the camera cuts over to her, like, as the wind, and she's picking up speed, pulling away. And then suddenly just this cloaked figure just like lands slap on the, I think, like, on the hood of the, you know, maybe she has a speeder bike. It's got like one of those big, like, engine hoods at the front, so I can land on top of that.
It's a 4-person speeder.
Oh, cool.
She's the passenger. There is a driver.
Oh, okay. There's a driver as well. So yeah. I definitely land like Spider-Man on the roof of a car, you know, on the hood of the car kind of thing. Again, the superhero.
I mean, you get that.
Yeah.
What's the extra benefit?
That as one of the as she fumbles up a blaster, I kick it out of her hand. You know, she's so shocked that I get a moment to just go like dish away, you know.
It's much cooler if you just go like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I just go boom with one hand and it flies out of her.
As the rush of telekinesis passes through you, and the driver is now going to try and throw you off the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me go back to in the hallway, Halo and Tsenn. You know, that you can hear roars from beyond, some suppressive you know, extinguisher gas. What are you doing? I'm going to go to Tsenn first because you landed on your feet.
I'll use my comms to tell our droid to fire up the engines of the ship and run in that direction.
So heading to the elevators to go up the 13 floors or to the stairs?
I'm thinking stairs because I'm just paranoid at this point.
Stairs it is. Halo, Tsenn is heading to the emergency, you know, just messing with the compad. What's the name, Halo, of your astromech? And I have to say, I would express an interest here that C3R just does ring a bell this weekend.
Perfect. C3R.
So
Better
C3R.
than CR7, so we could do that.
And Tsenn is shouting into his compad, C3R, power up the engines, we're on our way up. Halo, he can't take off without you because it's your ship. But what are you doing at this point?
Right, so I envision all of this as being Tsenn blew up the thing, pushed her down on the way out the door, and then she's laying in the hallway. Her jacket's partially on fire, and she rips it off because it's smoldering and everything. And he runs by her and is talking and everything, and she's glaring at him. But then she probably can't see because of that cloud of fire suppressant down the other way, I'm assuming. So she's hightailing it after him to the stairs. Same thing.
Fine.
Get to the
Heading to the ship.
Because can I ask, so all we know is it was an empty apartment. And so right now we don't know anything other than that. So as far as we're there may or may not have been a sign, we just know nothing, but it didn't go down like we expected it to.
I think that's fair.
So she's bailing.
Kit is slightly better informed because now you make contact with a Wookiee. So Kit, I think that this is rolling to take them out, to confront them and take them out. What is your intention here? Hurt, subdued, some other outcome?
I think I'm trying to hurt this guy very badly.
Okay, fine. So let's have you go at him. So you are using your hand-to-hand.
Mhm.
You are using you have the bonus dice, don't you?
The deadly, yeah.
Yeah, the deadly dice. So you've got so you're rolling gray and black, gray and orange and black, and the stress dice if you want it.
Sure,
but I am
let's
going to
do
make
it.
you roll 2 risk die.
Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna do the stress this time because I got a plan. Hey, here we go. I got a
wow.
6. That's a good
That
roll.
is cool. So on a 6, you hurt this guy. What does that look like?
And before I forget, whenever you roll a 6, you get an intel, right? So
You do.
Okay.
You do.
I think I, with the blunt end, just whack this Wookiee was shooting a blaster. He got his chance, but once I get up close, now I have the advantage, and I have extra reach, and I just reach out with the blunt end of the gaffy stick and whack him in the head.
Fine. You are going to roll for stress in a moment, but you also get an extra benefit. That could be another point of stress applied to this Wookiee.
Yeah, let's do double damage or the equivalent.
Normally, these kind of contractor mercenaries will have 3 stress.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you've just taken 2.
Great.
And the reason I'm going to make you roll for stress is because beyond the Wookiee, you see 2 people working on the door of apartment 48.
48, okay.
One of them is shouting, "Open the fucking door, you're Vann. Don't make me blow this off the hinges." Yeah?
I'll say, over our comms, I'll say the scientist is in room 48 to everybody else, and I'll roll stress. And it goes up.
Ooh.
To 4.
We must be getting close to some dodgy. Fine. So comms come in. Tsenn, Halo, you're just about at the emergency stairs when you get that comm from Kit. He's in room 48, apartment 48. Does that change your destinations then?
Yeah. Can I look at my data pad? Is there a quick way to get down there?
No, that Wookiee put himself at the end of the corridor that led to 40 to 49. So there's, I guess you could try to get into the ducting on that side of the building, but to be honest, I think that time is of the essence.
Yeah, it might be quicker to take the ship and go through the window from the outside in.
It's going to take you quite a long time to go up 13 floors. While you're thinking about it, I'll ask the same question of Halo.
So,
We now know that the scientist is on this floor, just in a different wing. And there are two guys at his door.
yeah, I'm wondering if she's going to try to, I'd like. Here's the thought I had: is maybe to remotely pilot the ship, and I want her to blast out the windows of go around to where 48 would be and blow out the windows.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Let's have you roll. I think this is rolling to do something else with a ship. And I think expertise is piloting. Yeah. So gray and orange. I'm not going to come to you for that role yet, because that may take a little moment. I'm curious what's happening with Vann, as now you are kind of confronted by a pilot trying to flip you off the hood of his speeder.
Yeah.
What do we see?
I think we see them straining against the strap, the belts, as they're strapped in, and so the speeder starts to spiral, right? Like nearly hitting another one as we pinwheel around this building. And
I will remind you that you cannot use telekinesis to move until you've used some of the other moves, just by the way.
Yes, I can't use it to do something else.
You can use it, absolutely.
No,
or to confront.
Well, that's what I used it for, was do something else, right? So that's ticked off.
No, I ran it as chase them down.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I already did it as do something else to break the door down, right? So do something else, chase them down. Those are the two pieces for.
Yeah.
I think that this is confront them. It is take them out. It is.
Using the force to confront them, or doing this the hard way?
I think it's more cinematic for me to be doing it the hard way. This is the Captain America lift fight, right? In a moot car, in a speeder that's swinging on it. It's a reason I took the blasters away was because I wanted scrappy, kind of like bare knuckle, kind of dangling off the thing.
And I'm going to put some kind of bracket on top of the windshield. Mm-hmm. So as they turn around, you're hanging on while you're kind of going at them. Yeah. Are you going to use?
I think at some point I'm holding on to the people I'm fighting. Like it's like and grab one of them, drop it. Yeah. I think at this point, I'm not going to use like the lightsaber. Right, that's an escalation. I think at this point, I think it's
wrestling them out.
Yeah, I think it's hand to hand. I mean, it's like. It's the martial arts part of the budget, right?
Yeah. Go for it.
Or anything. But,
Now, let me ask you the question: do you want to hurt them? Do you want to subdue them, or do you want to loosen their safety belts?
I definitely want to loosen the safety belt of the driver. I want to get the driver out and then just have her and me on this careening out of control speeder.
Fine.
Yeah.
D6. Plus expertise in hand-to-hand. Stress dice if you want it.
Yeah, I feel there's money not using my stress dice.
But I am going to make you roll 2 risk die because you are outnumbered.
Mm-hmm. That is a 6 on the expertise die.
You kids are just giving me nothing to work with tonight. That is a 6. This goes brilliantly. So, we will, and no harm to you. So we will see the safety belt, spring back from the driver. What's the extra benefit you want?
The extra benefit I want is I think what happens is I will mark a vibro knife, right? Because I think during all this fight, right, and we're spinning around and I'm being pinned up against by the G forces on whatever, right? And suddenly a vibro knife appears in my hands and I slash forward and they both look down, they're not touched, and then the pilot's belt snaps and he goes flying and her belt snaps and she's clinging onto it.
Well, I'm going to make you an offer. Either you can have both of their belts go, or you can have his belt go and he leaves the car.
Oh, his belt goes and he leaves the car then. That's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Ah!
Yeah,
as the spiral he engaged in throws him into the
yeah.
into the
And
air.
she grabs me. We're now locked in hand-to-hand combat in a speeder with no pilot, right? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let me go to Kit. Can you get past the Wookiee?
Okay, same rolls last time.
Exactly so.
Okay. Let's see. So we get this, we get this, we get this, this and this. I won't do the stress die again. And there's a 6 again.
There's a 6. You apply the last piece of stress you need to take him out. He is
Right.
taken out with that 6. You have an extra benefit, mark intel, but the reason I'm going to make you roll for stress is because that's the point when you hear the explosion down the corridor, as they do indeed blow the door off its hinges.
Right. And I think from extra benefit, since I don't need another hit point of damage, a Wookiee comes flying into their bodies and knocks them to the side. You know,
Fine. So the door is blown off the hinges, but they are unable to exploit that advantage at this moment. Halo, let me come to you and see whether you can pilot the shuttle to the window of room 48.
Okay, so just I'll put my cards on the table. I think what she wants to do is blow the windows out and then give the doctor or the scientist or whatever, like, to be able to escape out the window into the shuttle. That's ultimately the
I thought that might be where you were going.
The goal thing. So okay, so oh boy.
So, grey dice. Expertise is piloting. Do you want the stress dice?
Goodness gracious. These guys have sucked up all the 6s. That's what I'm worried about. What the hell? Well, the other thing is, so let me understand, if I retroactively use my specialism of pilot, that bumps it from whatever.
That will cost you a mark of stress, yeah.
Oh, and a mark of stress.
Yeah, that's the way that works. You mark stress and get the benefit.
Well, I think he already has. I think he's talking about the little box next to our specialism. Is that the thing where once a day you could kick it up a level?
Once per cycle of play, you can mark stress to improve an
outcome.
outcome.
Oh, you do have to mark stress. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Sad but true. Hello?
Well, I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use the stress die, and if I don't get the result I want, I'll mark that. Because if I use this, I could be done if I if I have to do both. So
I think that's very fair. Go ahead. A 5. A 5. Now, 5 gets you, because your objective here was to get the shuttle to the window and blow the windows out with thrusters and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
You do that. You do that. So we have a shuttle hovering outside the window of apartment 48. We have 2 guys in the corridor under a Wookiee. Tsenn, what do you do?
My force concealment thing, can that sort of help blur the shuttle from cameras and watching it? Or?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it could. Well, what it could do is to make it appear that the doctor isn't in the apartment. If the target is the 3 people in a pile down there.
Yeah, I'll risk it. Screw it.
This is not the apartment you're looking for.
All right. So what do I need to do?
Okay, well, we are going to use the force. It's going to cost you a stress. So you are walking, the edge here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've just invented a new rule, which is you can mark the dark side track. No, that doesn't work. No, I'll have to rethink that by session 2. I want to encourage you to use the dark side, but I don't think that's ready yet. So this is going to cost you a stress. You don't want to roll a 6 or rely on your stress dice, because that would push you over the edge and you'd break.
So just orange and grey dice?
Orange and grey. Oh
Okay.
my. Oh my. That is a failure. I'm going to mark heat. However, you could now mark stress,
No.
but that would make you break. Damn.
You could do some, on the fly secretly from the horror, maybe.
I think it's more likely that is there any flashback to a contact? You could the only thing I've got in mind now is can you invoke a contact to get a
they've got
reroll
intel as
on
well.
that?
Oh yeah, contact for everything. But they got intel if they want to lower their stress.
Oh, that's true. You do have some intel. So you can immediately burn an intel to burn that stress down from 5 to 4.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Fine. Now you can mark stress to mark your specialism of I can cloud things, and stuff
Yeah,
gets
I'll do that.
clouded. Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Phew.
And I'll mark that little box there. Complicated, but you got there in the end. Thank you. Kit. It's weird. The two survivors, the guy they've got out from under the Wookie, and they're looking in the apartment, and then they're looking at you, and it's like there's a kind of shit, he's not here. And they're running down the corridor away from you. Halo, we have to have some kind of data pad view from the shuttle, which will show Dr. Uravan cowering, looking at the door and then seeing these two guys run away. Vann, what's the plan, Vann?
I think the plan is to I think it's to fight her, and to the point where, if it goes well, I'm hoping to basically like have her knock her off the thing as well, but have her like grab hold of her. You know what I mean? Like kind of as in.
You'd prefer a prisoner than another corpse. Is that what we're after here?
Let's take it as a fight, and if I get the extra benefit, then it's that I get to keep her alive,
You
right?
you can fight to your objective can be subdue.
Fight to subdue. Yeah.
Go for it.
Um.
Only one risk die this time because there's only her. And a speeder kind of.
Yeah, I would still take the 2 because I don't think it's so much the danger because there's only her, but now there's nobody at the controls of the speeder. So I think I'm going to take the extra 2. The extra one.
Okay.
Because I deliberately put myself into a precarious situation. But I got a
look
4.
at that. A 4 on the stress dice. Mark stress.
Can I spend intel to just negate that?
You can.
Yeah.
And she is subdued. Yeah.
Yeah. It is that it's the we're both like we're fighting each other, we're gripping onto it, we're wrestling, and then one of us wrestles for the control of the thing, and as she goes forward, like she slips and she goes out, and I catch hold of her and grab the speeder with the other hand, and she's clinging on, and I'm just like I could let go at any second,
Part of me at that point, I'm just keeping an eye on the clock here, unless somebody has another action in place. I'm going to insert a cutscene, which is the two guys who are at the door going down the emergency stairs saying, team, where are you? Damn it, where are you? We're on floor 86 waiting for exfiltration. Where the fuck is the speeder? And then I'm prepared to cut to all of you back on the ship with team. Unless anybody's got something cool they want to do.
And we snatched the doctor from the flat.
Oh, the the doctor's in play. Yeah. And so I think that I have hit physical confrontation, a chase of some kind, and security surveillance obstacles to address.
Yeah.
So I think that is her coming back to consciousness, tied to a chair.
Oh, it's the first shot is as we were you guys have got the ship and you've got the doctor maybe like shaking and distraught in a thing, right? And then this you hear the speeder noise, right? And Vann pulls up and he just goes, good work. I got something. And then we opened the boot of the speeder and crumpled in the back, looking up at his
Team Sodok.
Yeah.
A team. I keep calling it team. It's Team Sodok. And that's where I think we'll finish this episode. Yeah, we will open next time, I think, with any leads that the Doctor can give you, or anything you can get out of your Zabrak prisoner. Yeah. Quick stars and wishes, and I will remind you that when I hit stop recording, don't feel you have to stay until I stop becoming frozen. Okay, so let me go in order that I can see you. Jason, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thank you for Alan and Will to be interested in pursuing the little bit of the tension between Kit and Vann. Is it Vann or Vann? I always lock up on that. Let's see, wishes for next time. I mean, we could do it anyway. I'm open. I would like to get my my anchor off the missing list, so I've got plenty of intel. I'm willing to do whatever. We can have a scene. We can just have it be something we do. You know, it's up. I'm open.
Well, we'll have a downtime next time, so there'll be options to spend. Yeah, great.
Yep. Looking forward next week.
Joe, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, I think the stars are just I really enjoyed the jumping out the window thing, very Star Wars, right? And everybody, you know, all the very Star Wars things, right? We had a trash compactor, we had it, and I loved Blake basically blowing me up and getting away at the same time. That was pretty awesome. And getting away unscathed, in fact. And I'm also interested, you know, as we move into the whole who do you hate, who do you like sort of part of this, some of the previous stuff between Kit and Vann, you know, spurred some ideas that I had of interjecting in maybe into some of that. So I'm and just wishes, just more, right? That's what I always wish for. So
we'll endeavor to do some more. Blake, any stars, any wishes?
Regarding sort of who you hate, who you love, I thought maybe it's not the first time that I've blown something up and Halo's gotten hurt.
Well, don't give away that history when it could earn you some stress relief later on.
Yeah, I like that Kit and Vann are just confident warriors, you know, no fear at all. Just, this is what we need to do. Bang, just go and do it. No uncertainty, no wariness. Just, fucking bring it on. Balls of steel. Good stuff. And I like
you can tell they're professionals, can't you?
That's normally me. So it was, I liked, being the techie guy for once. Great.
Any wishes for next time?
I mean, there'll probably be more personal, less combat moments, but we'll be doing that with sort of seek relief from stress and that shit. So more of the same. It's good. It's a good solid start.
Great. And finally, Will, any stars, any wishes?
I loved. I thought it was really fun having the enemy team basically get ahead of us and then be force misled into seeing an empty room. You know, and then them bugging out because they're like, well, our the asset isn't there, so there's no point in getting in on this fight, even though like they've technically got the drop on us. They prioritize their mission as well as we did. I like Kit obviously having the Wookiee fight. I really liked that Halo bugged out as well the second they all went to shit, because I think there's a lot to be said about characters that do play completely to their self-interest, in such things, as opposed to stick around. If we're all brave heroes all of the time, it was perfect. I love that. And thank you for letting me do the crazy Star Wars action scenes on a speeder craning out through the sky.
It's a speeder. You're 87 floors up.
Yeah. Well, I love any of that. Like, as soon as we're in this thing, it's just like, wow, it's Star Wars. So whatever you do, there's always a convenient floating or flying thing to make it dramatic, right?
Of course there is. Of course there is. Wishes for next time?
So we've captured both Dr. Uravan and this person, a team, I think she's called, right?
Team Sodok.
Team Sodok, yeah. But she, I guess my wishes would be to, find out their knowledge, like what Dr. Uravan knows, and, to have something different between the two sets of knowledge, like, because they were looking for Dr. Uravan too, right? And I would also second, like, tying in Kit's missing contact with that, like, rescue, because I think that would be a really strong thing. I like rescuing people. That's a good thing to do. I would maybe like to explore that whole setup thing a bit with you, if it's possible, if it fits, like maybe we were burned elsewhere, maybe it wasn't, like how far. I love that feeling of paranoia that we got when we walked into a trap. Like, who was it who caused it to go wrong? And finally, I don't know. I know you said we're not there with the dark side move yet and everything. I can see. But I would like to see some of the collateral damage that our Rhodian hacker willy-nilly inflicted on this building, and the because I think that we did do quite a bit of damage to some people and showed quite a lot of some of us showed quite a lot of carelessness to the civilians that Kit was primarily focused on. Like that was Kit's overall thing. So I think, playing into that, like, if you blow stuff up in a building, they'll come in.
I think what I might do, it's a week ahead, so you might have forgotten that, but what I might do is in the opening scenes next time, I might just ask each of you to describe some of the collateral or fallout for, the building.
Yeah, well, because I don't think we ended up doing it, right? But it was suggested, like, using the ship to fire, to do the Morpheus maneuver of, like, unloading a heavy machine gun basically into an apartment building window. And I was just like, yeah, cool, but also, like, certainly collateral damage. This is a residential built-up thing,
Yeah, so I think that would be a good opening as you disappear and we just get a view behind. If I forget about that, somebody remind me.
In Trophy, if you got high ruin, if you do something that the forest would like, i.e. nasty, you can actually reduce your ruin to sort of come back. So maybe it's like that. If you
that's what I'm thinking
gain
about.
a dark side point to remove stress because you lash out or whatever.
And what I haven't worked out yet is what the impact of that increasing dark side track does, because it ought to get more kind of seductive as time goes on. I've got some ideas about dice replacement, but watch this.
I suppose you don't want to make the relieve stress sort of mechanic useless either.
No, exactly. So that's all great. Stars from me are principally the fact that two of you are prepared to get up so early to play with me, and one of you is prepared to stay awake in the dark during a power cut to play with me.
I've got a candle.
Well, you don't get any stars because it's the same time zone in Manchester as it is in Yorkshire. But I guess it was good to have you here.
Harsh.
And he didn't swear fealty, so there's that.
No, exactly. Yeah,
and he never would.
And I want to make it clear, I've made no demand that you should swear fealty to me. That's not necessarily playing my games.
I'd be more likely to do that.
Okay, enough of this badinage. Yes, an ironic God save the king from me, and I'm about to hit the stop recording button. Don't feel you have to hang. Oh, I would normally do this off, but I will do it on because I won't otherwise. Can I post the video?
Of course, yep, no problems.
Thank you, guys. See you next time.
It's good
Bye
fun.
now.
Cheers all.